The courtroom door slams shut. A once famous singer is now facing a judge, his career in ruins. This isn't a music video. It's the reality for many R&B stars whose private lives turned into public nightmares. We'll reveal the truth, starting with a man whose name became a symbol for betrayal and control. 1. R. Kelly. For decades, R. Kelly was the king of R&B. He gave us timeless hits like I Believe I Can Fly and Ignition. His music was everywhere, from weddings to parties. He sold over 75 million records worldwide, making him one of the most successful artists ever. To put it mildly, he was a music giant. But for almost as long as he was famous, there were dark whispers and rumors following him. The thing nobody tells you is that these were more than just rumors. For years, stories came out about his relationships with very young women. People who worked with him spoke of strange rules and controlling behavior inside his home studio, which some called the Chocolate Factory. What many overlooked was the sheer number of accusations piling up. It was a slow burn, but eventually, the whispers turned into a roar. Finally, after decades of speculation, the truth came out in a court of law. R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and the trafficking of people. The court learned he used his fame and money to build a network designed to target and control vulnerable young individuals. He was sentenced to decades in prison. His entire legacy, all the hit songs and awards, was erased by the terrible truth of his actions. R. Kelly's empire of control was built over many years, but sometimes a star's dark side is revealed in a single explosive moment that the whole world sees. And our next artist knows all about that. 2. Chris Brown. When Chris Brown first appeared on the scene, he was a superstar in the making. He could sing, he could dance, and he had a charm that reminded people of a young Michael Jackson. His songs topped the charts, and it seemed like he was going to have a long and perfect career. He was dating another huge pop star, Rihanna, and they were the music world's golden couple. But that all changed in one night in February 2009. On the evening of the Grammy Awards, the world was shocked to hear that Chris Brown had been involved in a serious physical confrontation with Rihanna. The details were disturbing, and a photo that surfaced showed the terrible results of his actions. The public was horrified. How could this charming young star be responsible for something so awful? He was convicted of a serious offense, and his public image was shattered overnight. But the thing nobody tells you is that this wasn't just a one-time incident. Over the years, Chris Brown has had numerous run-ins with the law, including other accusations of physical altercations and standoffs with authorities at his home. What's truly a wow factor is that despite this long history of troubling behavior, his music career has continued. He still has millions of fans and sells out arenas. Chris Brown's actions were very public. But what happens when the darkness is part of a couple's private life? A toxic mix that ends in tragedy for both. Our next story is about a man whose marriage was a constant storm. 3. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was the original bad boy of R&B. He started with the boy band New Edition before launching a massive solo career with hits like My Prerogative. He had an edgy style and an attitude that fans loved. Then, he married one of the greatest singers of all time, Whitney Houston. Together, they were music royalty, a true power couple. But behind the glamorous pictures, their life together was chaotic. Their relationship was filled with turmoil and stories of intense arguments. What many overlooked was the dangerous lifestyle they were both a part of. Both of them struggled with personal demons and substance issues, and many people felt that Bobby was a bad influence on Whitney, pulling her deeper into a dark world. Their marriage was documented on a reality TV show called Being Bobby Brown, which showed their bizarre and often troubling life together. The public saw a relationship that seemed to be falling apart. There were arrests and constant drama. To put it mildly, it was a train wreck. After they split, Whitney's life continued to spiral downwards until her tragic passing in 2012. Many fans still blame Bobby for enabling her decline and breaking the spirit of a global icon. Bobby Brown's issues were tied to a famous relationship. But our next artist is accused of causing harm to women who weren't famous at all, in the supposed privacy of his own parties. 4. Trey Songz. Trey Songz built his career on being a smooth and romantic singer. With hits like Bottoms Up and Say Ah, he became one of the biggest heartthrobs in R&B. He sold millions of albums and was known for his charming persona. His fans, mostly women, loved his romantic lyrics and his confident style. However, a very different picture of the singer began to emerge as multiple women came forward with serious accusations against him. These women told stories of scary encounters at parties and in private settings. The accusations painted a picture of a man who did not respect boundaries. The most serious claims involved non-consensual acts, with some women stating that they were given drinks and then taken advantage of. One of the most high-profile cases involved a woman in Las Vegas who filed a major lawsuit against him. The sheer number of accusations from different women in different cities over several years created a disturbing pattern. You see, while his public image was all about loving and respecting women, the stories being told behind the scenes were the complete opposite. It made fans question everything they thought they knew about him. Trey Songz was accused of giving women substances to take advantage of them. Our next artist was actually convicted of a similar crime, a truth that many people have forgotten. 5. CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green is one of the most unique artists in music. First with the group Goody Mob, then as half of the duo Gnarls Barkley, he gave us the massive hit Crazy. He released the worldwide smash Forget You. He even became a friendly face on television as a coach on the popular singing show The Voice. He was known for his funky style, big personality, and even bigger voice. But a very serious incident from his past cast a dark shadow over his quirky public image. In 2012, a woman accused him of a heinous act. She claimed that he had put a substance in her drink while they were having dinner, and that she later woke up in a hotel room with no memory of what had happened. This is a terrifying situation for anyone. The most serious charges were eventually dropped due to a lack of evidence. However, CeeLo did not get off completely. He pleaded no contest to a felony count of furnishing a controlled substance. That means he admitted to giving the woman the substance. The thing nobody tells you is that he then made some very strange and upsetting comments online about the nature of consent, which caused a huge public backlash and led to the cancellation of his reality show. CeeLo Green's case involved a hidden act and a legal battle. But our next story is about an R&B singer who was charged with an act of violence so brutal and final, it's almost unbelievable. 6. Russell Neal. The group High Five was a popular R&B group in the early 1990s. They were known for their smooth harmonies and upbeat love songs. Their biggest hit, I Like the Way, The Kissing Game, went to #1 on the charts. They were a wholesome, clean-cut group of young men, and Russell Neal was one of the key members. But the years after the group's fame were filled with darkness for Russell Neal. In 2014, a truly horrific story hit the news. Neal walked into a police station in Houston, Texas, and told the officers that his wife was at home and that she needed medical attention. What he really meant, according to the authorities, was much more sinister. When police arrived at their apartment, they made a tragic discovery. His wife had passed away from multiple sharp force injuries in a brutal scene. Neal was immediately taken into custody and charged with her passing. The story got even stranger when Neal refused to cooperate with authorities, and his mental state was called into question. The man who once sang sweet love songs was now at the center of a real-life nightmare. Russell Neal's story is a shocking fall from grace. Our next artist also had a tough reputation, and was associated with a rough lifestyle, something that was a part of his image from the very beginning. 7. Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg had one of the most recognizable voices in music history. He wasn't always the main artist on a song, but he was the king of the hook. If you had a hip-hop or R&B track in the 90s or 2000s, you wanted Nate Dogg to sing the chorus. He collaborated with legends like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem on countless classic songs. His deep, smooth voice was the secret ingredient on dozens of hits, but Nate Dogg's life off the microphone was far from smooth. He was deeply connected to the gang culture of his hometown, Long Beach, California. This wasn't just part of his musical image, it was a part of his real life. He had numerous run-ins with the law over the years for a variety of offenses. These weren't minor issues. His legal troubles included charges related to illegal firearms and even a case where he was accused of stalking an ex-girlfriend after setting her car on fire. To put it mildly, he had a volatile side that was a stark contrast to his laid-back singing voice. While his musical legacy is iconic, his personal life was marked by serious criminal behavior that tarnished his reputation. Nate Dogg's controversies involved the law. Our next artist's issues were more about how he treated the women in his life, leading to accusations of a different kind of bad behavior. 8. Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat is a legend in the world of R&B. Starting in the late 80s, he became one of the pioneers of the New Jack Swing sound. With classic songs like I Want Her and Make It Last Forever, he created a whole genre of music, perfect for begging and pleading for love. His signature whining vocal style became iconic, and he sold millions of records. But the persona he had in his songs, that of a man desperate for a woman's affection, was allegedly very different from how he acted in real life. His ex-wife, a reality TV star, came forward with some very serious accusations about their time together. She described a relationship filled with extreme emotional and mental distress. She claimed he was incredibly controlling and manipulative. The stories she told painted a picture of a man who was verbally harsh and created a toxic environment in their home. These accusations challenged the romantic image he had built over his long career. For many fans, it became difficult to listen to his love songs in the same way after hearing about the alleged turmoil he caused behind closed doors. Keith Sweat was accused of controlling behavior. The next artist, a member of another legendary group, also faced legal troubles, but his were connected to his personal demons. 9. Casey Haley. The group Jodeci was a massive force in 90s R&B. They were the bad boys of the genre, mixing smooth love songs with a tough hip-hop image. Casey Haley, along with his brother JoJo, was one of the lead singers. His powerful, gospel-influenced voice was a signature part of their sound on hits like Forever My Lady and Come and Talk to Me. But the bad boy image wasn't just for show. Casey struggled for years with personal issues that often landed him in legal trouble. He had a long history of run-ins with the law, including multiple arrests for driving under the influence. These incidents were dangerous and showed a lack of regard for his own safety and the safety of others. His problems went beyond just driving. He also faced charges related to domestic disputes and the possession of illicit powders. His struggles became very public, with videos of him appearing unstable during performances circulating online. It was clear that he was a man battling serious demons, and his legal troubles were a direct result of that battle. He was forced to go to rehab multiple times to try and get his life back on track. Casey's issues were very public. The next artist on our list also faced charges of harming a partner, a story that many people may not remember. 10. Genuine. Genuine, whose real name is Elgin Baylor Lumpkin, was a huge star in the late 90s and early 2000s. He teamed up with the super producer Timbaland to create a futuristic R&B sound. His song Pony is still an iconic track today. He was known for his smooth dance moves, his muscular physique, and his romantic but edgy songs. While he maintained a fairly clean public image for most of his career, he did face a very serious legal issue that many have forgotten. In the early 2000s, he was charged with domestic battery. The incident involved his ex-partner, and it led to a restraining order being filed against him. The details of the case were not widely publicized at the time, so it didn't create a massive scandal that derailed his career. What many overlooked is that an accusation like this is incredibly serious. For an artist whose entire career was built on being a ladies' man and a romantic figure, a charge of harming a partner is a major stain on that reputation. It suggests that the smooth, charming man on stage might have a very different side when the cameras are off. Ginuwine's controversy involved a legal charge of battery. Our next artist's controversial reputation comes more from the messages in his music and his scandalous personal life. 11. Montel Jordan. In 1995, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing the song "This Is How We Do It." It was a massive, worldwide hit that made Montel Jordan a household name. He was a towering figure, standing at 6 feet 8 inches tall, and his song became an anthem for parties everywhere. He followed it up with other hits and had a successful career in the 90 seconds. However, if you listen closely to the lyrics of some of his other songs, a more problematic theme emerges. Critics have pointed out that some of his music seems to promote predatory behavior toward women. The lyrics often describe pursuing women who are not interested and breaking down their resistance, which is a very troubling message to send to his audience. Beyond his lyrics, his personal life also had its share of controversy. He was a married man for his entire career, but he later admitted to being unfaithful to his wife multiple times. He has since become a pastor and speaks openly about his past mistakes. But the thing nobody tells you is that for years, he was presenting himself as a certain kind of artist while living a very different life, with lyrics that some find highly questionable. Montel Jordan's issues were about his message and infidelity. Our next story goes back to the group Jodeci and another member who had serious brushes with the law. 12. Devante Swing. Devante Swing was the genius behind the group Jodeci. He was the producer, the main songwriter, and the musical leader of the group. He created their signature sound, a fusion of smooth R&B, raw gospel vocals, and hard-hitting hip-hop beats. He was considered a visionary in the music industry, a quiet and mysterious figure who let the music do the talking, but that quiet mystery hid a troubled side. In the mid-90 seconds, at the peak of Jodeci's fame, Devante's home was the scene of a major police raid. The authorities had been investigating a string of home invasions and robberies, and they believed the people responsible were connected to Devante. When they searched his house, they found a shocking amount of illegal items, including firearms and other contraband. Several people in his home were arrested, and Devante himself faced serious charges. This incident shattered the group's image. They went from being R&B superstars to being associated with serious criminal activity. The legal pressure and the negative publicity were major factors in the group's eventual breakup. Devante Swing's trouble came from his associations. The next artist had a different problem: accusations of harassing his own fans and facing lawsuits for his aggressive behavior. 13. Cisco. In the year 2000, one song was absolutely inescapable: the Thong Song. With his silver hair, flashy dance moves, and incredible vocal range, Cisco, the lead singer of the group Dru Hill, became a global phenomenon. The song was a massive, over-the-top hit that was both celebrated and made fun of. But everyone knew it. But his time in the spotlight was marked by some strange and aggressive behavior. He developed a reputation for being difficult and arrogant. There were multiple reports of him being rude and confrontational with fans and journalists. This attitude started to wear thin on the public, who grew tired of his antics. His behavior went beyond just being arrogant. He faced several lawsuits for intimate violence from fans who claimed he acted inappropriately during meet and greets. There were also stories of his interactions with fans turning physically aggressive. To put it mildly, his behavior was not what you'd expect from a pop star. The man who sang a fun, silly song about underwear seemed to have a very real anger problem that got him into legal trouble. Cisco was accused of harassing his fans. The leader of another famous R&B group also had legal problems, but his were related to domestic issues and not paying his dues. 14. Teddy Riley. Teddy Riley is a true musical innovator. He is credited with creating the New Jack Swing genre, a sound that dominated the late 80 seconds and early 90 seconds. He was the leader of the group Blackstreet, who gave us the unforgettable hit, No Diggity. As a producer, he worked with everyone from Michael Jackson to Bobby Brown. His impact on music is undeniable. Despite his incredible success, his personal life has been filled with controversy and legal problems. He has faced arrests for domestic violence, with accusations of causing harm to a partner. These charges are a stark contrast to the smooth, romantic music he is known for creating. On top of that, he has also had major financial and family scandals. He has been involved in very public and messy legal battles over child support payments, with his own children speaking out against him. It's a sad situation where a man who created so much joy for the world through his music has allegedly caused so much turmoil within his own family. You see, being a musical genius doesn't always translate to being a good person at home. Teddy Riley had conflicts within his own family. But what about when the conflict is within the band itself? Our next artist was involved in feuds so intense they allegedly turned physical. 15. Coco. The group SWV, which stands for Sisters with Voices, was one of the biggest all-female R&B groups of the 90 seconds. They had a string of hits like Weak and Right Here, divided by human nature. Coco, whose real name is Cheryl Gamble, was the lead singer. Her powerful and distinctive voice was the centerpiece of the group's sound. But the sisters in the group did not always get along. Behind the scenes, there was constant fighting and tension, especially between Coco and another group member. Their feud became legendary in the R&B world. They broke up at the height of their fame because they simply could not stand to be in the same room with each other. Years later, they reunited for a reality TV show that documented their attempt to get back together. The show revealed just how deep the bad blood ran. The arguments were intense and often personal. What many overlooked were the accusations of threats and even property damage between the bandmates. The beautiful harmonies they created on stage were a complete illusion, hiding a reality of bitter rivalry and conflict that sometimes boiled over into genuinely hostile actions. Coco's conflicts were with her bandmates. The next artist's controversy involves his relationships, specifically with much younger women, leading to some very uncomfortable questions. 16. Marquez Houston. Marquez Houston grew up in the public eye. He started as a child star in the R&B group Immature, who were known for their charming songs and cute image. As an adult, he had a successful solo career and became an actor, starring in movies and TV shows like Sister, Sister. However, in recent years, his personal life has become the subject of major controversy. The controversy centers on his relationship with his wife. The issue for many people is the significant age gap between them and, more importantly, the age she was when their relationship began. Public records and their own statements suggest that he knew her when she was still a minor. This has led to widespread accusations of grooming, which is the act of building a relationship with a young person with the intent of pursuing them later. While they maintain that their romantic relationship didn't start until she was a legal adult, the circumstances have made many people deeply uncomfortable. It has cast a dark cloud over his career and made fans look at his past work in a new, more critical light. Marquez Houston's relationship caused a stir. Our next artist, also from a legendary boy band, had issues that revolved around a lifestyle that led to family neglect. 17. Ricky Bell. Ricky Bell is a founding member of one of the most iconic R&B groups of all time, New Edition. He was also a part of the successful spin-off group Bell Biv DeVoe, who gave us the mega hit Poison. With his smooth voice and cool demeanor, Ricky was a fan favorite for decades. But the story of New Edition is filled with conflict and personal struggles, as shown in their popular biopic. Ricky's journey was particularly difficult. He developed a serious and costly substance habit that took a huge toll on his life and his finances. At one point, he had earned millions of dollars, but ended up losing it all to support his dangerous lifestyle. The real tragedy was the impact it had on his family. His habit led to him neglecting his responsibilities and becoming a distant figure. He was no longer the reliable person his family knew. He has since gotten clean and turned his life around. But his story is a cautionary tale about how the pressures of fame can lead to personal demons that harm not just the star, but everyone who loves them. Ricky Bell's issues tore his family apart from the inside. But what happens when a group's problems are caused by outside forces, like a record label that might be taking advantage of them? 18. Raphael Saadiq. Raphael Saadiq is one of the most respected musicians in R&B. He was the lead singer and producer for the acclaimed group Tone in the late 80 seconds and 90 seconds. After leaving the group, he became a highly sought-after solo artist and producer, known for his incredible musical talent and his retro soul sound. He is widely considered a musical genius. His career, however, has not been without controversy, though his is a bit different. The issues are not about his personal behavior, but about the music business itself. He has been indirectly tied to record label scandals involving the exploitation of other artists. The music industry has a long and dark history of unfair contracts and powerful executives taking advantage of talented, often young musicians. What many overlooked is that some of the labels and executives Raphael Saadiq has worked with have faced serious accusations of financial misconduct and cheating artists out of their hard-earned money. While Saadiq himself was not accused of doing anything wrong, his association with these controversial figures and systems has raised questions. It's a reminder that even a brilliant artist can be part of a machine that sometimes hurts people. Raphael Saadiq's story touches on industry problems. Our final story is about another member of New Edition, whose group was famous for its internal battles that sometimes got physical. 19. Ronnie DeVoe. Ronnie DeVoe, along with Ricky Bell and Michael Bivins, was part of the trio Bell Biv DeVoe. But before that, he was one of the original members of New Edition. As one of the rappers and dancers in the group, Ronnie brought a cool hip-hop energy to their R&B sound. He was known as the quiet and steady member of the group, but as the New Edition biopic showed the world, there was nothing steady about the group behind the scenes. The infighting was constant and intense. The members argued over money, creative control, and who got the most attention. To put it mildly, it was a pressure cooker environment. These arguments often escalated beyond just words. There were several instances of physical altercations between the group members. Fights would break out backstage, and even on stage during performances. Ronnie, despite his calm reputation, was right in the middle of this chaos. The group's internal battles became so bad that they led to lawsuits and the band breaking up multiple times. It was a classic story of a group that achieved massive success, but couldn't overcome its own internal conflicts. 20. Sean Diddy Combs. For over 30 years, Sean Combs, also known as Puffy, P. Diddy, or just Diddy, has been more than a musician. He's been an empire. He founded Bad Boy Records, launching the careers of giants like the notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige. He's a producer, a rapper, a fashion designer, and a businessman worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He created a legacy built on glitz, glamour, and success. But recently, that entire legacy has been threatened by a wave of incredibly dark and serious accusations. Several people, including his former romantic partner, the singer Cassie, have come forward with lawsuits detailing years of alleged abuse and control. The stories paint a picture of a man who used his immense power and influence to manipulate and harm people. The accusations are vast and disturbing, including claims of physical confrontations, trafficking of people, and forced encounters. The situation escalated dramatically when federal agents raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami as part of an ongoing investigation. The shiny, successful image that Diddy spent a lifetime building is now crumbling under the weight of these horrific claims, leaving the entire entertainment world to wonder if one of its biggest icons was hiding a monstrous secret all along.